Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief. I'm Rolene Marks, and you know we bring you your headlines every Monday to Thursday right here. You can find us on Facebook on our Facebook page at Lottel Site and on YouTube on our channel at the Israel Brief. It has been a very, very difficult couple of days for Israel and for Jews around the world as we continue to mourn the 45 people who were crushed to death during a stampede that took place at Meron over the Lag BaOmer festival in the early hours of Friday morning. Yesterday, Israel observed a national day of mourning. Flags were lowered to half-mast, and education in the schools was centered around remembering the 45 victims of this stampede. It is reported that the stampede is the worst crisis or loss of life for Israel outside of a war or terror situation. And we do have an update coming from our new incoming Justice Minister, Benny Gantz. He is the interim Justice Minister until we have a government formed, and the police who have asked for a commission of inquiry as to what happened. So this is what we know so far. We know that the festival, intended for about 10,000 people, was overcrowded when at least 100,000 people attended. And there's been some conjecture whether or not the ramp that many of the attendees used and what could have contributed to the fatalities was in fact licensed or did in fact receive a permit to be built. This, of course, will come up in investigations. However, before Israelis start investigating, we're starting to come to terms with the massive loss of life, and funerals were conducted from the end of the Sabbath on Saturday evening until today, and there are some who are still ongoing. After the event happened, Israel received many, many messages from around the world, from citizens around the world, Jewish leaders, Jewish groups, Jewish citizens from around the world, and also world leaders, everybody from Her Majesty the Queen of the United Kingdom and King Philippe of Spain to our new friends here in the Gulf, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, to countries that we have no formal ties, countries like Iraq, Saudi Arabia, sending their condolences. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas sent a letter of condolence to our President Reuven Rivlin, who had also set up a hotline from his office where families could try and search and locate their victims. Something very, very special about Israel is that when we are in a time of crisis, we really see the best of our citizens, and thousands of Israelis all over the country lined up on Friday to give blood, to donate blood for the injured. And Arab villages that surround Meron, the villagers opened up their hearts, their homes, their community centers to make sure that evacuees received food, water, adequate care. This despite it being the holy month of Ramadan and observant Muslims are fasting. So right now, as Israel reels from this, there is a pervasive sadness in the air, but also a sense of anger that this should have happened. And we will be following the Commission of Inquiry. The government has said that they will go forth with that pretty soon, and we will bring you updates as they happen. In the meantime, it is our hope and our prayer that those who are injured, over 150 people injured, recover safely and as soon as possible, and that the memory of the 45 who perished be eternally blessed. In other news, Israel yesterday saw an uptick in terror attacks when a 60-year-old Palestinian grandmother tried to stab two soldiers at Tzomet Gush Etzion, that's the Gush Etzion junction. She was neutralized by soldiers. She was shot in her legs and taken to hospital, where she is in a moderate condition. And later in the day, a drive-by shooting injured two of them critical, 3 students, and the IDF is conducting a manhunt as to who had conducted this terror attack and has increased security around the area. In other more encouraging news, we had some positive statistics coming in from both Israel's health ministry and the IDF. The IDF have reported that for the first time in 14 months, there are no active cases of coronavirus within their ranks. And the Ministry of Health released information that in a 24-hour period, only 13 people had tested positive for coronavirus. And we really hope to see the last few remaining restrictions lifted in the coming weeks. Those are your top stories making headlines in Israel. Don't forget, we're going to keep following what is happening in Meron, the investigations and the outcomes. So stay tuned to this very channel for that. In the meantime, check out our website at www.layoftheland. There is an article by Harris Green that asks the question, how come only Jewish jurists were asked about their level of observance and their alleged allegiance to the South African Jewish Board of Deputies when they were interviewed for posts on the Constitutional Court in South Africa. That's up there. It's also on our Facebook page at Lottl Site. If you haven't already done so, please give us a like or a follow and share our content. We really appreciate your help in getting news from Israel out to the world. If you are on Twitter, we are at Lay of the Land 5, so follow us there at Lay of the Land with the digit 5. And don't forget that YouTube channel at the Israel Brief, and we would really love it if you clicked on that big red subscribe button. So with today's headlines, I'm Rolene Marks, and we'll chat again tomorrow.